So what's going on here as pertains to Marxism and socialism? Well, if you really want to understand what we're dealing with today in the world, I'm just going to lay it out for you. Evolutionary ideology is a predicate by which interdimensional forces, which may be called demonic, are masking what they really are. And the reason they're doing this is to hoodwink the populace into believing that they're not what they are. So if we believe in a carbon-based life form that evolved separately from mankind on another planet in another universe, galaxy, or solar system, and has separate, distinct, and advanced technology, we're a lot more likely to believe these intelligent entities have that to offer us, which can be relied upon and trusted as not having some ulterior motive. So that's why they say they're from Zeta Reticuli or Venus or Mars. The mediums were hearing from these entities in the 1800s, and that translated into the 20th century when Aleister Crowley thought he was the beast, and Jack Parsons of Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, decided he was going to be the primary disciple of the Crowleyan theosophists. So what happens? They try and do this Babylon working now. There's a lot of funny stuff that happened with that. For example, L. Ron Hubbard cucked Jack Parsons, stole his girlfriend, wife, whatever gal they roped into the ceremony, and fled to Florida with her. Jack Parsons apparently pursued him, and there's some dispute over what happened there. The point is, the ideals that are contained in evolutionary ideology and Marxism are simply repackaged mystery religion precepts. You know, Charlie Darwin had these dreams. He sort of appropriated the ideology from his grandfather. Karl Marx loved what Charlie Darwin had to say because that gave him an angle, if you will, that he could use to get the public on his side with his ideology, which was essentially a collectivization of mankind with the ultimate end game being that those with the ability would naturally preside over mankind. He was trying to make mankind into a beehive and himself as the queen bee. This is sort of the collectivist motif and always has been. So basically, the devil, Satan, Lucifer, the whole collectivist angle is to turn human beings who are their own individual, self-derived, self-driven people into ones and zeros, drone worker bees, ants, with a queen bee or a queen ant at the head of it. In this case, the queen is that Luciferian Baphomet tranny we call the devil. That's our ultimate queen, if you will. That's what he wants. That's what it wants. And that's what all this is leading to. So Marxism is forced human evolution. But human evolution doesn't exist. In point of fact, we've devolved. We're less capable than our ancestors were. I'm on this smartphone. You're watching on this smartphone or on your computer. Can you solder a transistor? Can you design your own circuit board, your own electronic device? Tesla himself was influenced by extra-dimensional entities that would give him mental schematics. He's a genius. He's a smart man. You have to have some brains to do that sort of stuff. But a lot of these people, if you research, it turns out that they're having contact with what they thought were extraterrestrials. They would not have thought they were extraterrestrials except for Charlie Darwin's postulate. Instead, they would have thought that these are extra-dimensional entities or interdimensional entities or angelic or infernal beings, demons, angels, that sort of thing. Well, with this new rebranding, now the aliens are what we think give us the ideas and the technology rather than the demons. But it's important to note JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratories, with Jack Parsons, who was following Thelemic ideology under Aleister Crowley, these people were involved in some interesting rituals in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. The whole Babylon working thing that took place before Jack Parsons blew himself up in his Pasadena laboratory. Essentially what happened at Roswell is the intelligence agencies of America decided to conduct a satanic ritual. And they called up a demon and made a deal with the devil, literally, for technology. That's why it's classified. To do that required some pretty evil shit, like the adrenochrome harvesting methodology we've seen come out recently, owing to guys like Jeffrey Epstein and whatnot. And it's not just American intelligence agencies that do this. See, here's the thing about the Illuminati, the Freemasons, and all these cats. What they really are is just repackaged mystery religious pagan schools that sacrifice children to demons like Molech and in return got metaphysical secrets. So the Illuminati and the Masons were exposed and they transitioned into the intelligence agencies we now know by names like the CIA. Now, not everybody in the CIA is part of that camp because necessarily there are true patriots who show up and there has to be an edifice, not an Oedipus, an edifice, big difference. If there weren't something like that, then there'd be no way for him to persist. You're going to know that the Scientologists are full of crap if they don't have a celebrity center, if they don't have a public wing. You're not going to know that their main goal is to turn people into drones, bees, ants, slaves for what's his name, David Miscavige Queen Bee or L. Ron Hubbard Queen Bee. You don't realize that until you see the compounds they have, the ships they have out on the ocean, that sort of thing. It's all repackaging of the same thing. Anything which takes you away from your actual king and priest destiny as given by God himself is going to be the same thing repackaged. So here's what our real destiny is. We're made in the image of God to be creators, to have individual thoughts, personalities, ideas, and creations. An artist is a great analog of that. An architect, even somebody who just builds homes and puts their passion into it, makes something, creates something. That's what we're all supposed to do. We're all supposed to do that in an individual way that suits us. We're supposed to be self-driven. We're like cars, and the soul which drives this car is eternal, though this car is just, it's here in this dimension, right? So what drives the soul? Well, metaphysically, that which drives our soul, that which is extra dimensional, it's God himself. Our soul has fuel, just like our body is driven by our soul. So the soul has fuel. What's the fuel of the soul? God himself. So if you look at the universe we live in, reality is like a simulation and God is like the programmer. We're in Super Mario World. God is the programmer at Nintendo who created Super Mario. That's a metaphor. It's not perfect, right? So death, sin, all these things, these are a virus in the metaphysical reality that we inhabit. These things are imperfections. The term for sin in Scripture is hamartia. Hamartia means to miss the mark. So you can't miss the mark unless you're trying to hit the mark. If you're just aiming at nothing, well, what is there to miss? So it's not, now there are sins of commission, like what those kids being abused. Ooh, that's horrible, right? But for the most part, we sin not because we want to be evil bastards, but because we are imperfect in a universe that has the virus of imperfection as brought in by mankind, breaking the terms and conditions, if you will, of his existence in this simulation by doing the one thing he was told not to. Now, why did God give man the apple? Well, if we're going to be autonomous and create out of our own mind and not be automata, robots, we have to have a choice. We have to be able to self-direct ourselves. What is the choice God gave us? The most simple thing in the world. Hey, don't eat this thing. Prove you love me and have the ability to choose by putting yourself of your own volition under my guidance. And I'll give you the simplest possible thing in the world. You can have everything except for these two things. What happens? Well, our terms and conditions are broken. Now what can God do? Totally destroy mankind or allow things to play out and put his own skin in the game. That's what Christ is. Christ is God making a rock so big you can't lift it. Christ is the avatar of God in his own simulation. Now, again, that's an imperfect metaphor to help you understand what I'm saying. So, in a nutshell, Marxism is socialism. Socialism is communism. Communism, Marxism, and socialism are mystery religions repackaged. These are all rebranded Luciferianism with the same endpoint, designed and packaged in different ways to more or less draw in different people.